2006 is the strangest year in WWE history. From live celebrations to God wrestling to May 19th to ECW coming back and then falling apart to elevated liver enzymes and so much more, 2006 in this company made no sense. And what's wild is while all this was going on, whatever this is, the other half of the product was so good that they still proceeded to have an iconic year in wrestling. By the summer, nobody knew what the hell was going on. RVD became double champ and then caught a drug charge. Kurt Angle was released from the company. Triple H and Shawn had reunited DX. Our world champion was now not Booker T, it was King Booker. Our other champion was this slimy piece of shit. Big Show was ECW champion. Ric Flair had lost his mind. Hogan was just casually back in the cut trying to finesse another win. We had a Punjabi prison match on pay-per-view with no Punjabi man in sight. John Cena's dad got cooked. Batista and Booker T were beefing backstage, and so much more. But what happens when you have three brands, a cracked out writing team, one of the most stacked but strange rosters ever, and the second biggest show of the year on the way? Boys and girls, you get SummerSlam 2006, which to this day is easily the weirdest SummerSlam of all time. This was the first SummerSlam to be marketed as the biggest party of the summer, and boy, this was a depressing ass party for 7-year-old Pav. See, by the time this show aired, I was in a dark place as a wrestling fan. I mean, for God's sake, I ordered the Great American Bash 06 and watched with my family. How could it not be in a dark place? 20 years later, they still think I'm a disgrace for making them pay for that. It was SummerSlam and I was expecting all sunshine and rainbows. Like, yeah, it's a party, they're barbecuing, wrestlers are glizzy goblins just like me, the theme song is in FIFA 06, my favorite wrestlers are challenging for the world title. I couldn't wait. But nothing could have prepared me for this weird ass show. The first thing you see on this show, this sold out show from TD Garden that did an insane 541,000 buys, is Rey Mysterio, the former world champion, getting absolutely clapped by Vicky and Chavo Guerrero just 1 month after losing the world title. What a way to start a party. Have the person who everybody loves get his ass beat by some drunk uncle and his sister-in-law. Bro, they despised Rey after Mania. But hey, it's the summer, it's 06, and what better way to showcase how random this company had become than having the Big Show take on Sabu in an Extreme Rules match. Alright Sabu, you go out there and do your extremism, and Big Show just try not to pass out, big man. Big Show genuinely looked like he was gonna die. And meanwhile, you said Sabu running around like a crackhead, messing up spots, but then redeeming himself. Big Show wins, sadly, but for some reason in this match, he just reminded me of Sandy Cheeks from that one episode. Which one of you fellas is Dirty Dan? But hey, at least he survived and didn't pass out, and at least his time on the pay-per-view is over, right? But just when things couldn't get more random, it's the third match of the night, it's not even 9 p.m. yet. You know what, it's time for Hulkamania to run wild, dude. Randy Orton versus Hulk Hogan, Legend Killer versus the biggest legend of them all. Now you would assume this would be one of the biggest matches of the 2000s. This literally writes itself, and what better way to push Randy to the moon than for him to kill Ichiban Hogan-san. Now I think we all know what happens here, but the actual match is even more funny. Hogan can barely move, so he just starts tweaking. 53 years old and he's out here doing suck it hand gestures for some reason. Yo, why did Hogan do that? He was out here just doing anything and everything to make the time pass. He does the dreaded back rake of death, and 26-year-old Orton is just there like, ah. The only legitimate wrestling move I swear to God Randy gets to do in this match other than kicks and punches is an RKO. And what does Hogan do? Does he eat the pin? Does he put over the finisher? No. In this economy, Hogan gets sub like nothing happened. Hulk sub, does his thing. Now does Hogan do his leg drop right away and get the match over with? I mean, he's clearly in pain and he's injured and he's old. No. Why would he do that? This guy poses for 25 seconds. 25 seconds while Randy Orton, the 26-year-old former world champion, is in the middle of the ring, and then he hits the leg drop. 1, 2, 3. A Legend Killer has been killed. Listen, Hogan doesn't care if he's in the main event, opening match, 5-minute match, 2-minute match. He could be on the pre-show. He's winning and he's posing. I don't know, man. Uncle looked a little extra rowdy on this night. Yo, look at the state of this man. Where's Bubba's wife, dude? What an interesting third match of the night. But don't worry, boys and girls, we were just getting started, because a 53-year-old wrestling wasn't enough. No. This party, this function, this biggest party of the summer needed more senior citizens. It needed a 56-year-old man in a death match. Mick Foley versus Ric Flair, I Quit match. What do I even say other than, ah God. Yo, you want to talk about love of the game? Yeah, take a look at this. Just two men for no reason just killing each other in the middle of the card, casually having one of the most brutal matches you'll ever see in the WWE. Neither of these men were on the poster for this show. Neither of these men were in the commercials, but they said, you know what? It doesn't matter. We're dying. We're having the match of the night. Woo! I guess, bro. And nothing but respect for the senior citizens. Remember that commercial we were talking about for this show? The one where poor Eugene got bullied? Poor guy. Well, that commercial was filmed back in May of 06, before these idiots probably had zero plans for SummerSlam, but the universe always has a plan. So when the roster was on set filming that commercial, Big Dave Batista, who was still injured, pulled up and let's just say according to reports, was feeling pretty Hollywood. Apparently when Batista pulled up, he didn't shake hands or greet the roster and was just coming off as a diva. Apparently he was also on interviews talking how, he's the biggest draw on SmackDown and how ratings were down. Listen, the SmackDown roster just did not like Dave at this point. And now that he pulled up and didn't shake anyone's hand, King Booker had enough, and before you knew it, these two popped off and had an infamous backstage fight right at the commercial shoot. So you got DX comparing wieners, you got Eugene crying, meanwhile Batista and Booker T are off camera just blasting. Reports say Batista was left busted open while Booker came out with a black eye, and they do say that Booker low-key got the best of Dave. And look what photo I found from the shoot. Damn, Batista, yo, you good, bro? Maybe that's why they just had a generic Batista render on the poster. Yo, what was wrong with this company? Well, fast forward 3 months later, these two hit each other. They're gonna have a match at SummerSlam, world title on the line. This could be fun, this could be special, it's gonna be heated, it's gonna be intense. It's always magic when real life beef meets in the ring. I wonder what's gonna happen. This is gonna be a war. The crowd fell asleep. Yo, bring back Foley and Flair. What is this? This match sucks. Half of the match is a chinlock. That's it, a chinlock. Me and my teddy bear could have done that on pay-per-view. We would have done it for free. That is all you see in this match. You can go get food, come back, and there will still be a chinlock. They should have just started shooting at this point. At least we would have got some action. The match ends in a DQ. Nobody cares. Little Pav was depressed because Batista was my guy. I once again ask you, what kind of party is this? I want to go home. At this point, they needed something fun to wake the crowd up, so it's only right we got one of the most overbooked matches I have ever seen. DX and the McMahons. Now, despite how cringy you might think DX was looking back at it, as a 7-year-old, I loved it. We all loved it, especially Vince. So at first, before DX could get their hands on the McMahons, they called out the Spirit Squad to help them out, who get destroyed very quickly. But it's all good in the hood because we got jobbers and mid-carders for days. Vince signals for help and out comes Mr. Kennedy, William Regal, Fit Finlay. So at this point, half of the roster gets cooked by DX and it's like, who the hell could possibly come out now to help the McMahons? Who could they bring out? And ladies and gentlemen, who else but... Well, it's a big show. Out comes the Big Show, fam. The fact they brought this Neanderthal out again, it has to be animal abuse. This poor guy almost died earlier in the night. It's the middle of August, it's like 100 degrees. He just wants to go home. Now he's back in the cut, and it's like, yo, in the summer of 06, what was Big Show not doing? He wrestled in a Punjabi prison match that he was never scheduled in. He became ECW champion, multiple Extreme Rules matches, and now he was involved with this? Homie was picking up overtime shifts like his rent was due. Yo, ladies, get yourself a man like the Big Show, someone who can do it all. Now, DX at this point is done for. The McMahons promised Big Show his McDonald's order after the show. They had 2 Big Macs, 20-piece chicken nuggets, 3 set of large fries, 1 soft drink, 1 milkshake, and 1 apple pie already backstage. And well, Big Show went out there and he did his thing. If I get enough comments, I'll eat Big Show's order on stream. Chokeslam onto the table and finally made their way down to the ring. Good job, Show. Your job was done. You earned it, pal. After all that chaos, the actual match is surprisingly normal, which somehow feels weird for this show, but without a doubt, my favorite part is the ending. This spot is so underrated and always makes me smile. Bang! Sweet chin music, kind of. Shane gets wasted and DX wins. This single match basically got half of the roster a pay-per-view payday, by the way. But ladies and gentlemen, it was then time for the main event. A match that may or may not have had Little Pav tearing up. Edge versus Cena for the WWE Championship. So on paper, this was supposed to be perfect. I was so hyped for this match as a kid. My guy Cena was gonna get his title back, beat that slimy mother Canucker, again, just like how we always did. It was SummerSlam, biggest party of the summer. It was a huge show, and best of all, it was in John Cena's hometown. This wasn't an ECW anymore. We were going back to Boston. We were going to Dunkin' Donuts land. Cena was gonna get revenge for his father. It was gonna be beautiful. And I was sitting there at my friend's house watching it live. I was so excited. Cena's music hit, and I will never forget the feeling in my stomach when I heard my GOAT get booed in his hometown. Never. This was so heartbreaking. The match hadn't even started yet, and my guy, my GOAT, was getting booed in his own hometown. What kind of hometown advantage was this? I was so sad, but it was fine, whatever. He was still gonna win because the stipulation of this night was if Edge gets disqualified, he will still lose the title. And during the match, Cena was fighting for his life. Every time he did anything, boo. I remember these boos hitting so much harder as a kid. I swear, I didn't even notice them at WrestleMania 22 that much. I was that delusional, but I heard them all here. This was a solid match, and by the end, they were in the zone. Edge counters the FU into an execution, Cena reverses into a victory roll for a 2 count, Lita gets clapped, double clothesline, crowd is going crazy, let's go Cena, Cena sucks. But I was never stressed. I knew in my heart of hearts, Cena was gonna win. I jumped for joy when he reversed the spear into the STF. The crowd was going crazy. It was beautiful. The champ was gonna be here. I mean, realistically, how else was SummerSlam gonna end? How else will the biggest party of the summer end? And then Lita gave Edge the brass knuckles, and boys, the saxophone starts playing. Cena hits his finisher to Lita. She goes flying. Edge hangs on, and bang! Brass knuckles to the back of the head. Ref doesn't see it. And no, not this way. No, please, not like this. 1, 2, 3. This actually won. What a disgusting individual. Edge retains the championship and the crowd erupts. Cena's hometown fans, I guess it's ops, fans are jumping for joy and screaming. I am not joking. There are grown men visibly in the front row jumping for joy. Why? Why? Well, this is supposed to be your hometown hero. Why are you cheering for this? And SummerSlam 2006 ends with Edge still being champion, beating Cena in his hometown and getting cheered more than Cena in his own hometown, and leaving Little Pav somehow even more depressed than when the show started. SummerSlam 06, the biggest depression of the summer. What kind of SummerSlam was this? Cena lost, Batista lost, Ray got cooked. Where was The Undertaker? We will never know. His feud with Khali was so bad, they're like, yo, don't even come to Boston. Hogan beat a 26-year-old Orton. Foley and Flair had match of the night. Big Show earned his McDonald's order. Both heel champions cheated and retained their titles because the weirdest SummerSlam of all time. And somehow, this company was still on fire. 2006, what a year. Our minds will never comprehend what these people were on, but somehow it worked. It shouldn't have worked, but it did. What a weird year. Definitely one of my favorite years of all time though. What a time it was to be alive. I guess. The biggest depression of the summer.